What is up? Welcome back. The 2023-2024 Vendetta Sports Media NBA previews. My name is Matt Hanifan. I'm here with Jerry Walker. Jerry, what's going on, man?
Not much, Matt. It's ready to talk NBA. The season is right around the corner. I'm from Denver, Nuggets fan, so last year couldn't have gotten any better, and I'm just excited for all the NBA action to get kicked off. What, Tuesday is it?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Tuesday, can't wait.
Um, we're gonna be talking about the Nuggets. We have a bunch of these up on the YouTube channel, so please go check that out when you can. But the Denver Nuggets, the reigning NBA champion Denver Nuggets, first NBA title in franchise history. They went 53-29 last season. They're really like the best team in the league for most of the season. I mean, you could argue Milwaukee, you could argue, actually, you probably can't argue Boston, but like they were up there with being the best. They have the two-time MVP, Nikola Jokic. They beat Minnesota in the first round, 5 games. They beat Phoenix in 6 games. They swept the Lakers, and then they beat my beloved Miami Heat, which I'm trying to do everything in my power to forget in the NBA Finals. But what happened last season, at least from your perspective as a Nuggets fan, and then what happened in the offseason to kind of help their chances in the Western Conference?
I mean, last season when, like I said, as good as anyone would have expected and could have hoped for, you do get all those players back because the year before, so 2 seasons ago, Jamal Murray out for the season, Michael Porter Jr. out for the season. Both of them came back at the beginning of last year. And even Jokic said in one of his interviews preseason, it's going to be 20 or so games for Jamal and Michael Porter to get back into the groove of things. And once those 20 games did hit, seemed like a complete flip. Jamal was back to his full self. They say it was the bubble Murray, but I think this is just how good he can be when he's a healthy player. Took over. Jokic obviously having another MVP caliber season. Didn't quite get it this year. That voter fatigue in the narrative. But either way, I don't think he's too mad. I don't think Nuggets fans are too mad he didn't get it. Everything kind of clicked. Go out, get KCP as well in the offseason. Bruce Brown came in. Those two guys fit into the lineup perfectly. And that's kind of one of the things the Nuggets are going to be missing this upcoming season because Bruce Brown, who's arguably the Nuggets' 6th man of the year last year, left to go to Indiana in free agency. Wanted more money. Hard to argue with him. He did what he needed to do this past season for the Nuggets, so hard to knock him there. Jeff Green as well, who played a big role off the bench for the Nuggets, left for Houston. And that one wasn't as filled in as much. It's going to be relying on some other players to step up more that they've had for the past few years. Also went out, drafted Jalen Pickett, Hunter Tyson, guys who might break into the rotation because we saw that with Christian Brown last season, who as a rookie kind of broke in and started getting significant minutes off the bench. Maybe that'll happen with someone this upcoming season.
Like the Bruce Brown one's interesting to me. I mean, 2 for 45 in Indiana. I don't think Denver was eligible to pay him that with the early bird rights. Indiana had cap space. Actually, no, I don't know. Bruce didn't have bird rights. Excuse me. But regardless, he was going to get paid after that finals run, and it was just a matter of if Indiana could, or if Denver was willing to pay him enough or not, or if another team was going to come in and swoop him. That's ultimately what Indiana did. But the Nuggets will be expecting more from guys like Peyton Watson this season. Again, Julian Strawther's a guy who, I mean, if it's preseason, so let's like temper expectations a little bit. But he looks like a guy who can be a rotation guy from day one. That's kind of like this kind of 3-and-D player, just at least like as a rookie. I mean, his role will obviously grow as time, kind of like Christian Brown did last year. They're going to be, I think, probably a little bit more reliant on like maybe Conchar, maybe a couple of these other guys, like maybe Zeke Naji gets rotation minutes behind Joker. I mean, it's still a little bit of a question mark back there with DeAndre Jordan. Like they re-signed him, which was, I thought it was a little interesting. They re-signed, I think there was Reggie Jackson for the full taxpayer mid-level, which that was confusing to me. because they hard capped themselves. But again, this team is still, I think, one of the best teams, if not the best team in the West for this upcoming season. And you were completely on it with the Jamal Murray. I mean, he was like had double-digit assists or something like that in every like finals game or something. Like it was something nuts. And he was still getting 25 a game. Joker obviously is the best player on the planet. And I don't think like that's it's not that it's not debatable, but like it's not, if you say it, people aren't going to look at you funny anymore, especially now after what he did last postseason. I mean, he was clearly the best player on the floor practically every single time he was on the floor. He was unguardable. And I mean, he 27, 28, 12, and 10 assists. Like that's not a reasonable stat. Like that's not an unreasonable stat line for him. And just to say that out loud is crazy on absurd efficiency too.
Yeah.
The thing with Denver last year, they were 5th in offense, 15th in defense. They were really good defensively in the playoffs. And I think people might forget that, because this was a team just a couple of years ago, we were questioning how good defensively they actually were with the personnel that they had. And obviously Bruce Brown and KCP help out with that. But what's, I guess, is like kind of your outlook heading into this season? Like, do you think they're going to take the regular season as serious? I mean, they won 53 and 29. I think they're over under Vegas lines like 52.5, something like that. But like, where exactly is your outlook heading into the season now that the West is deeper than it was last year?
I mean, yeah, there's always that thing that the West, for some reason, seems to keep getting better year in, year out. Suns go out and get Bradley Beal. I will say, like, it's kind of lucky they didn't have to play full-on Phoenix Suns last season. It was still Kevin Durant got hurt, came back for the playoffs, so it wasn't all that chemistry. Definitely a little bit more worried about that. But otherwise, I'm kind of have high expectations for the Nuggets again this season. I do think guys like Peyton Watson will have to step up, and that honestly helps defensively over Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown's much more of a much better offensive player and has solid defense, whereas Peyton Watson's, for being a second or third year guy, he says extremely good defense and can guard almost every position on the floor. He's athletic, can get the blocks, can steal. So it's going to be one of those things that could help the defense, which is big for Nuggets. I do have the Nuggets doing a little bit better this year because I think it won't be as slow of a start. Might be a little out of it, but I said 56 and 26 was my prediction for the Nuggets this year, as I think there will be not necessarily a hangover because, one, I don't think Jokic did much over the summer apart from go horse racing. None of the Nuggets guys went to the FIBA World Cup. Only one who did was Vlatko Čančar. Fortunately, he tore his ACL, so he's going to be out for the season anyway.
Oh, that's right. My bad.
So there's that. But otherwise, it's the exact same starting five as last season. Majority the same role players. My big question is what's going to happen when Jokic goes to the bench? Because that's been one of the storylines the past few years is with Jokic on the court, Nuggets are arguably the best team in the NBA. But as soon as he comes off and is on the bench, they'd be fighting for a lottery spot if that was the dream. It's one of those things where it's a huge drop-off, and that was something Jeff Green helped with, but now it's fallen on the shoulders of, you said, Zeke Naji. DeAndre Jordan's the backup center technically, and then there's a two-way player, Jay Huff, that has potential, but he's still a younger guy and hasn't quite broken into the NBA yet so far.
Yeah, no, I completely blanked on the contract thing, so I appreciate the correction on that. Yeah, I mean, just I'm looking at it right now. I mean, I'm trying to like figure out in my own head. I mean, it would have to be Zeke Naji. I mean, unless if they want to go small with like Aaron Gordon at the 5, you can do that, but that's putting just a lot of responsibility on his shoulders. At least like that's probably more of like a move that you make in the playoffs and not in the regular season in game 32.
Yeah.
I mean, there is some versatility to that. Jeff Green was incredibly important to them last year, or at least in the playoffs. I mean, that's something that Malone kind of went to because when they traded for Thomas Bryant, that was kind of like the expectation. It's like, hey, he's going to be like the new backup 5 for these DeAndre Jordan minutes, and that did not work out at all. because I mean he's just not. He just was not as good defensively, and I don't think Malone's a coach to put up with that. But then like Jeff Green was kind of that stretch five. I mean that stretch small ball five that you could space out a little bit and open up the floor, and that's where it's like I wonder if I don't know if Zeke Naji is like that kind of player yet. So maybe there's some untapped potential there. Maybe that's just like maybe they go Michael Porter Jr. at the 5, like at least a little bit experiment with it, even though he's going to get just hammered defensively in the pick and roll, and that's just something that they're going to spam no matter what. Maybe there's something with Jay Huff, as you mentioned, at the 5. I mean, you could play two-way players in the regular season and not the playoffs, so maybe that's something that they'll experiment with at certain points. That's not like impossible to foresee, but this is also just a team who, again, once February comes, will be in the market for a backup 5. At least just that's the sense that I'm getting. I don't know who. I mean, we'll obviously know more when that time comes. I don't know who will be available, who like what the price will be. But they just feel like a team who's going to go out and like get like a backup 5 who's not something you're going to ask a whole lot of, but someone just to not crater those minutes. And you're right. Last year in the regular season, they were a disaster behind Jokic when he was off the floor. And that's something that in the regular season, that's okay. As long as you have enough production and like cohesiveness otherwise, that's fine. But you don't want that to be a problem in the playoffs, which thank goodness for Denver, it wasn't at all. There were points in the finals where they were winning those minutes with Jokic off the floor, and it's just like, what's going on here? That's what I was saying at my TV. I was like, I was angry, but that was in the few minutes that Jokic wasn't on the floor. But like in like the first round or something like that, or like not even like the first round, but like the second round against whomever, you don't want that.
No, exactly. And I mean, looking at the minutes for that playoff run, in the Western Conference Finals and NBA Finals, Jokic averaged 41.8 and 41 minutes. So it wasn't like there was very much time with him not on the court, and that's why the Nuggets did so well, sweeping the Lakers, beating your Heat in 5. It was you didn't have to rely on that extra of where Jokic is on the bench, and even if at the times, like you mentioned, there was some positive play by the bench unit, you don't want to be relying on that in the earlier rounds.
Yep.
Where Jokic played 38 and a half against the Suns in that series, 36, just under 37 against the Timberwolves.
Yeah, because it's like as playoff series go on, your rotation will shrink. But yeah.
Guy I am excited about seeing this upcoming season, see if he can make that step in year 2, is Christian Braun, because he was really one of like the firecrackers for this Nuggets team in the playoffs. There was a couple games. I want to say there was one. It was one in the finals where he just took over for a little bit. Got like 8 points in a row, couple stops, and that's what he can do. He won the national championship 2 years ago for Kansas, first year in the NBA. Michael Malone loves this kid, and immediately starts giving him rotational minutes as a rookie. Don't see that. Nuggets played a 3-man rotation pretty much all postseason and a lot of the second half of the regular season, and Christian Braun was one of those guys. I'm excited to see what he can do this season because I think now that Bruce Brown's gone and Jeff Green are gone, he's the one guy who's like, you're going to be the 6th man. We're going to put a lot of weight on your shoulders, and we're going to need you to step up. And I'm excited for it. I think he's a guy that'll step up to the pressure. Whereas a lot of rookies we've seen at times who, if they come off the bench, they think they should maybe be starting more, get a little more minutes. He adapted and got used to his role as that gritty guy, the guy that's going to come on, in his minimal minutes, make an impact on the game. And I think he does a great job doing that. So him and Peyton Watson will be fun to see this year.
I'm completely with you on Christian Braun. Like, again, as someone who was rooting for a team against him, it was a pain in the ass at times. Like, that's just the type of player that he is. He does all the little things defensively. offensively. I mean, obviously, when you play with Nikola Jokic, you're when you're off the ball, he'll find you if you're open. Like if you're in the right spots, and if you time everything right, like Joker's again the best player on the planet. He's obviously one of the best players that I've ever seen. Involving his teammates and making them look better, and improving their floor and their ceiling whenever they're on the floor with them. And that's something that Christian Braun was succumbed to. Like whenever he was on the floor offensively, like whatever the case was, he was always in like a proper lineup. He was always in the right spots. He was knocking down shots. He was making those crucial plays, and like you need that for a championship. Like when you have championship aspirations, you need that. Like, I mean, I sound like a broken record because I said this so many times in here, but it's not just about the 1, 2s, and 3s when it comes to playoff basketball. Like, yeah, obviously you want all those guys healthy. You want all those guys playing because that's incredibly important. But sometimes it's guys 6, 7, and 8 who help you win you games sometimes. And that's definitely how it felt within like those 5-minute stretches in playoff series with Christian Braun. And so I think he's someone who could definitely take a year 2 leap with a bigger role and more responsibility now that Bruce Brown is not there. And I think he was also just a good mentor for Christian Braun. Bruce Brown was.
Yeah, absolutely. It was that duo right there of guys that are just found their role in the NBA with Bruce Brown. Even Jeff Green, he always found his role, and that's why he's played in the league so long. 2 guys right there with mentoring Christian Braun. It's fun to watch, and it's going to be exciting to see. I'm very optimistic for the Nuggets. I'm not going to get carried away with anything, no finals predictions or anything yet, but that was one of the things last year is that team was so deep. It just worked out perfectly. Reminded me of the Avs team 2 seasons ago when they won the Stanley Cup of everything clicked. You just had that feeling, and there was that buzz around Denver that this was the year. You knew it was going to happen. It was kind of just this one felt like it. And, I mean, so excited for last season. Can't wait for this season.
You said no finals predictions. I was going to ask you, does this team repeat, or at least does this team get back?
I think I will. I'll say I think they can.
Okay.
I do still think the Nuggets are the team to beat in the West, especially playing at the elevation where that'll help.
Yep.
But because, I mean, the other ones that come to mind, the Phoenix Suns, their bench has gotten a little better since they got Bradley Beal, but it's still – I'm not convinced how well those 3 are going to work together because they're all kind of ball-dominant players where they want to be the first option. So that's the team I think that's right up there. I'm not too worried about Memphis.
Don't let Jackson hear that, or Ja Morant.
Don't let Jackson or Ja. Yeah, I live in Nashville, so that's kind of the local team. I'll try and get down there, but I don't know. I can see the Nuggets making the finals. Whether or not they win it or not is a different question. Kind of just depends on the opposition and who they play.
I was trying to bait you there, but you didn't take. You're a smart person. You didn't take the bait.
I'm not going to get carried away. It's the season hasn't started yet, and
listen, more than fair.
If anything, my bolder prediction would be Jokic wins MVP and retires on the spot. I think that's something more likely that he's just going to retire at some point after one of these seasons without anyone really knowing. And
aggregate it. Yeah. Well, again, thanks for doing this. Thank you for checking out this video. We're going to be having plenty more up on the YouTube page. Check out the vendettasportsmedia.com where we'll have all of our season previews there. Like, subscribe, hit that thumbs up. Check out all of our content, past and current. Thank y'all for watching.